Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, are you ready to start the show of Weebs of the Ring podcast, episode 75? And this is for Monday Night Raw coverage of October 14th. And we're here to start a great show. It was a Raw pre-tape show, but this is a Stampede. What we'll be discussing about is the Crown Jewel title. Cody Rhodes from the secondary, I'm sorry, from the WWE title versus Gunther for the World Heavyweight title at Crown Jewel. So are you guys excited for what they discussed and what they confronted about each other? We had the mid-card stories. Rhea Ripley had words for Liv, but got interrupted by Tiffany time, leading into a tag match between them versus Liv and Raquel. But then we had a Dragon League promo for tonight and a match for next week for the tag titles. We're going to discuss about that. Bron Breakker destroys Kofi Kingston in a hard fight battle, but then we lay into the Miz hurting the feelings of R-Truth. Jade and Bianca retain their titles against Io and Kairi Sane after some slight interference from Jakara and Lash. But then we get a little Bronson, Reed, and Seth freaking Rollins. Would you guys want a match for them? Where would you want it? And are you guys excited for it when the time comes? But then we get, for the last match of the night, is the War Raiders has returned with their NXT music. We have the Alpha Academy taking the L, but then we have more tag matches to come in the future. But with all that Stampede, with all the rundown for the night and the show, are you guys ready to discuss for the actual discussion and see the host? Without further ado, let's get started.
Oh, with anime in their souls and thoughts of wrestling out of control, we are a trio of weebs who love the entertainment of professional wrestling. So, allow us to be the voices inside of your head as we go through the wrestling events of the evening, give our thoughts and predictions on what's to come, and provide an experience inclusive to all you nerds out there. So be sure to grab your steel chair, yell for the table, and get put through an experience unlike any other. We are brought to you by Animal We Studio, and this is the Weebs of the Ring podcast. And yes, you can never get rid of your world champion. You can never get rid of your visionary known as Vash. We are back in full force. Thank you, Drop, for holding down the fort last Friday as I had to rock out for a little bit and Vash had to take care of some other things outside of the
Well, technically
show
rock
and all
out
that.
too, because I was at the symphony, so I feel like that works too.
A bit. Yeah, a bit. But yes, hopefully everybody's having a great and wonderful Monday night evening. We had another 2-hour Raw, another Raw that was actually pretty good. You know, I thought the pacing was really good tonight and all that. So, yep, as
Yo, it
always,
was
I am your world
phenomenal.
champion. It was phenomenal, yes. But yes, as always, I am your world champion, Watkins here, giving you the lowdown, the breathe through of everything that's going on in the show. Up on my right, we have, again, the visionary himself, the legend, D. Vash. Vash, how you doing tonight?
The visionary Legend Eva is here to be discussing with you guys of why the future the visionary and has made the Monday Night Rollins. It deserves to destroy the tsunami, the big man, the monster of the Godzilla, like he called himself. And I'm excited for that.
Oh, yes, the Godzilla was here, and he's about to be taken down by a wee little man. And of course, always to my left is the genius of the mat. Drop this box. Drop the how you doing tonight on this wonderful Monday evening.
I'm doing pretty good. I just can't get over that comment in the chat by Archie Car 23. I don't know if they misheard what Vash was saying in the Stampede, but I kept chuckling as you guys were talking because I don't know because Archie Car thought Vash said Africa Academy.
Yeah, I saw that too. I'm like, who misheard what?
But
Oh,
without
look,
further ado,
man.
if you misheard something, you should be hearing this. Chat, always, if you're new to the channel, to the spin-off channel, right here.
Yes.
Welcome to Weebs of the Ring. Follow, subscribe, hit that like button as well. Because if it's your first time here, we talk about Monday Night Raw and Friday Night SmackDown on a weekly basis. And stay tuned, by this weekend we will also be on your audio feed. So every episode of Weebs of the Ring will be on your audio feed on Apple, iTunes, wherever you guys listen to it. And for a future show of Grappling with the Week as well. So stay tuned for
That'll
that
be
as well.
Be fun. Nice transition there.
Thank you very much.
Oh yes. Yeah, good job. Applauds all around. So let's kind of get right into the action. Let's get into the nitty gritty of everything. As we had spoken about, as Vash went down on his little stampede, we are heading towards Crown Jewel. We have a big match, a big title match in store for the big Crown Jewel Championship, one of the best titles that Vash loves. He can't wait to have this new champion crowned at Crown Jewel with the beautiful belt that is, what was it, like 15 karat gold?
Look,
that they kept touting about.
I'm gonna just say a big shout out to my coworker that I spoke with today, and they also don't like the crown jewel champion belt because it looks atrocity. Like I told him, it is like a big giant extended extra large of a fucking Super Bowl ring. It looks hideous, but I still love the concept. That's all I'm gonna say. Ugly as hell, but love the concept.
At least you like the concept.
Hey, we're all gonna have some different opinions tonight, and I can't wait to discuss.
Don't worry.
That's why I said it. That's what makes the show, because it's not really that fun if we have the whole same thought process and everything, because people come here because they want to see like a full-on conversation and how our thoughts like work alongside one another, because that just sparks a good conversation.
Yeah, instead of just saying I agree all around.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we gotta try to build to this champion versus champion match, especially like this Gunther Cody Rhodes segment, because like Cody's dealing with a lot right now, and Gunther doesn't really have a lot.
No.
So yeah, we got to build to it, and obviously, again, with this being pre-taped, we know Cody was there last week with Raw, so hey, here's our moment with Cody to kind of come out here, give a little promo here, and kind of come to face with Gunther, which they've never really had a lot of promo work between each other. Like, I think the only interaction they really had was in the Royal Rumble.
Yeah, last year and this year.
Yeah, I just want to say I appreciate for Cody to change suit from last week, because last week was gray and this week was blue. So I want to appreciate that he still changed, even though it's pre-taped, because I was gonna be mad if that, like, yo, dude, you came out with the same suit last week. Come on, don't make it too obvious. So I'm glad they work out here.
He knows. He's a smart one. He knows.
Yeah, he knows the game and knows how to play it.
But those that play the game for here of our boy Gunther and Triple H, you see what I did there? So it just worked out how they actually made this feel promising. Not just felt like it was a throw of two champions go one-on-one, but it made it feel like, all right, cool, they're building up for it. So I appreciated that very well, because no lie, I felt very whelmed or underwhelmed coming into the segment, but once the segment concluded, I was very satisfied. Like, just an overall first impression, I was very satisfied with the lines they said. I can't wait for us to discuss on the lines, because like, oh, I just can't wait to fight the secondary champion. Like, okay, Gunther. And I love how Joe at the end, he said, it's funny how he said he was not going to take any jabs, but then took jabs at the end. It wasn't the word jabs he said that he didn't have no conditions, or he didn't have no words to say. I forgot the exact word, but I really appreciate how Joe kind of brought that up. Like, he sounds like a hypocrite, and that's what Gunther always tries to throw those little knee or little jabs to his opponents. So I really appreciate about the segment overall. Like, I was really going in very underwhelmed, and then coming out, I was like very pleased. I was like, this was much better so far than what we could lead up to in the next 2-3 weeks.
Well, like it's all about mind games with it, and that's
Yeah.
what Gunther tries to do. And I like how Gunther too is kind of self-aware, where he's just like, normally I come out here and like I fake praise my opponent, I try to big them up, and then I try to just knock them down real quick. So I appreciate Gunther at least for being self-aware in that. And I also like too, like his final words to Cody being basically saying, good luck to me, and all that stuff. Like again, making it more about himself and putting Cody down, making him feel secondary. And I kind of like that twist because, the whole thing with the World Heavyweight title has been, oh, it's the secondary title, it's the
Yeah,
silver place
consolation
medal.
prize.
Exactly, the whole consolation prize thing. So it's like, okay, now Gunther's kind of putting that on Cody now that he has the world title, and I'm kind of feeling, I'm kind of feeling Gunther winning this right now. Like at least at this stage right now, like
Yeah.
at least with the promo work they did here, I'm kind of getting the vibes here because like that's the thing, Cody has a lot going on SmackDown already that
Hmm.
that can kind of distract him enough to lose this kind of match.
Yeah, because if you look at what Cody's like currently dealing with right now, you got Kevin Owens, and then you never know,
Hmm.
something might end up happening
Oh,
with
hi, Cameron.
Randy, and then you also have stuff that could um come up with the bloodline again. If it does, I don't really think it
Hmm.
is, because it feels like they separated that based on what I saw on Friday. But just basically in a nutshell, there's like a lot of different things going on in his head, and even Gunther brought up the whole Kevin Owens situation as well. So that's like the main thing that's going through Cody's head at this very moment. But like I spoke about before, I still don't like the concept, mainly because this is just a thing that they do for the Saudi shows all the time. Not saying
Yeah.
I don't enjoy the Saudi shows, because as of recent times, they've been doing them a lot better compared to the past. Because once Triple H took over, he did earlier this year King and Queen of the Ring. That's a concept that Triple H absolutely loves. If you know the man, you know the reason why he loves that, because he
Hmm.
was also a part of it himself. And using it at like the Saudi shows as something that you could segue into the summer, into like a SummerSlam was really nice. And then you have this whole thing right here, which I get why they're doing it, but
Yeah.
still at the same time I can't really say I like it, mainly because the greatest Royal Rumble, they just wanted a Royal Rumble, they gave a belt, you never saw it again. You're just gonna see this thing like every once in a year, and it could be different from other people. It's just I've seen this numerous times when it comes to just giving them something, because that's what they want. They just want a little special thing there. And I don't really think it's WWE doing it, it's them wanting it. So if I'm being
Yeah.
completely honest, I wouldn't be surprised if they put all the funds towards that belt, because that definitely looks like something that they would come up with. But I will say, when it comes to the interaction with Cody and Gunther, in the future I want to see a proper build with them. I realize this is like a one-time thing, just to have this
Hmm.
big match, but hopefully in the near future, if one of them's champion, either it's Cody or Gunther, I would definitely love to see this actually play out a little bit more as a feud, because it was teased to us many times when Cody won the Rumble last year, when it was just him and Cody, when it was just Gunther and Cody there.
Hmm.
And I believe they had an interaction this year as well, and I think Cody actually eliminated him. But it's nice just seeing them
Yeah.
together, because we know how talented they are. We know that they'll deliver a great match, because they pretty much put on a match last year before
Hmm.
Cody won the Royal Rumble. So based on everything that I've seen when it comes to the exchange between the both of them, I did enjoy that. And I'm gonna say this: I can see Gunther coming on top towards the end with this.
Hmm.
I'm gonna say Gunther is gonna win, but at the same time, there's a part of me thinking that Cody might win, only because of what Gunther said at Bad Blood, where he's like, "Oh, Triple H is just gonna come up here again and wrap it around my waist." For some
Hmm.
reason, there's just that thought crossing in my head where it's like he might, like, Gunther's known to be confident, but at the same time, maybe with him being too confident, maybe things will backfire. I hate to put this out in the wild right now, but you never know if a Goldberg might come into picture when it
Don't
came to
put
that
that into the universe.
Oh, I'm gonna put it in there.
Don't put it into
But
the universe. No.
trust me, I would not like it, and I probably would rant that night. But it
Oh,
just
yeah, me
something that I
too.
could, something I could potentially see, because if we've known how WWE is nowadays, especially when it comes to backstage segments of just people just randomly standing there, they obviously threw that. They obviously threw that there for a reason. So I wouldn't be
Right.
surprised if that's like a match we get at like Saturday Night Main Event or something. But to me personally, I'm saying Gunther, but at the same time, I could also see Cody just based on, I don't know. It's just Gunther can't be confident all the time and just get away with everything and always come up on top.
Yeah, and I see your reasoning. Like, I get that. It's just, I think with Gunther, he's kind of proven time and time again that his confidence
Yeah.
is justified. I think the only time that hasn't like helped him with that was WrestleMania against
Yeah.
Sammy.
Yeah.
Whereas like with every other time, like, I mean, I just look at King of the Ring, for example. Like, his
Oh, yeah.
whole thing was just like, I am going to be the King General of the
Yeah.
ring, you know, like,
Oh yeah. It
and
was
he
tailored
proved us
fit for
right,
him anyway.
you know.
It was tailored
Exactly.
fit
And
for him anyway.
see, that's kind of how I feel about the Crown Jewel title. Like, that's kind of just tailor fit for Gunther, because like
Yeah, it is. That's what I'm
with
saying.
hmm
Yeah.
so like it's right there, his for the taking. And plus, like, with the proper build with him and Cody, you can use this loss like that of like Cody losing to him. You could use that as some good fuel to the fire when we
Yeah.
get the eventual program with those two.
Yeah, because I don't know if I can really see it being a clean win, if I'm being 100% honest. I don't think it's going to be a clean win. Definitely not a clean
I
win.
don't think so either.
No.
Yeah. Like, and I mean, maybe the same for like the women's side too with that, which, you know, we'll talk about later on. Yeah, I don't see a clean win with this, but I mean,
No.
I do at least commend them for at least trying some sort of build for this, you know, at least trying to do something, you
Yeah,
know,
I can
because
appreciate that.
yeah, I mean, because that's the thing. This is really just an exhibition match for the
Yeah,
two,
bragging
and
rights.
yeah, and like really neither of them can afford a loss. And I
See,
feel
that's the
bad saying
thing.
this. Yeah, it's like between the two, Cody can kind of eat the loss a little bit more,
Yeah.
but again, it's not going to be clean.
Kind of reminded me of a certain thing that happened on Saturday when it came
Oh,
to
yeah.
Hangman Adam Page and Jay White. You got a returning
Oh.
Jay White. You got Adam Page on the run of a lifetime. Neither of them could afford a loss. I mean, similar situation there.
Yeah, man. Oh my gosh, but I don't know. Vash, did you have anything to add with this build? I mean, it was kind
So-
of like a, I don't want to say it was a short segment, but like,
No.
yeah.
I love how it was short, but it felt that delivered, and that's the most important, because it was the first time meeting, even though it was last week, but for us it was this week that it was first time for them to meet eye to eye. Even Cody acknowledged it, and I love how he acknowledged that when Gunther said, "Hey, you have nobody behind you. You've been having problems with your own friends and everything." I love how Cody's like, "Do you see this right now? I have no friends." But you're talking about my greatest weakness is also my greatest strength. I love that how Cody said that by himself. I really appreciate the acknowledgement that even though Gunther sees that that's his weakness, but Cody is like, "Hey, but if for you may be a weakness, that's my strength too. That's where I grab it." And one other line that Gunther said, and it's my favorite of the whole night: "How can you be everyone's friend, but no one is yours?" Oh no, I believe is, you're everybody's friend, but you're no friend, but you're nobody's friend really. I'm butchering it, but I really
No,
love
no,
that.
no, it's fine. Yeah.
I really love that line. It felt like anybody could be that person as well, because you could be everyone's friend, but who can you really trust when everyone wants to be at the top spot where you are? So it really feels very genuine in that aspect when like Gunther suddenly goes like, "Hey, you may be the top guy, but your best friends also wants to be the top guys, and you are helping your opponents and look where is that getting you. It's kind of fucking you up. So I really love that. It feels very genuine in the aspect where it doesn't feel like it's just thrown there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and the
Yeah.
quote that you were looking for, it's because everybody's friend is nobody's friend.
Exactly, thinking Nick.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Exactly. Because like when you just love everybody, you're never somebody's top one,
Yep.
and that's kind of Cody's story going on right now. Because
Yeah,
like we've
so
seen
biting
that
the
where
ass.
like he keeps trying to be this nice guy, and yeah, just like what Drop just said, it keeps biting him in the ass. You know, it happened with AJ, it's happening with Kevin, and eventually it's gonna be happening with Randy. I mean,
Yeah.
everybody keeps biting at the bit with that feud. We're waiting for it. You keep like dropping the hints and all that. Just like they're cooking with that one, but that we're this isn't the time to talk about Randy and all that. I don't know. I don't really have anything more to say about like Cody and Gunther here. Like I feel like this is just like the start for the build they're trying to do
Yeah.
for this match, and I feel like we'll get a little bit more to kind of sink our teeth into maybe at a later date. But like again, they're really just building to an exhibition match, and it's kind of hard to really give a good proper build for something like that.
Yeah, I agree.
Oh man, yeah. But hey, you know what? From one thing that didn't have a lot of build to it, we have something that has so much build to it that it keeps bleeding over into other events, other matches, and other shows now, apparently. So Rhea Ripley started our night off. She had a lot of words to say to Liv Morgan, but unfortunately, she was cut off by Tiffany Stratton, who is here on Raw. She's going to be doing some stuff here with Nia because Liv and Raquel decided to show their faces on SmackDown. So, hey, we're going to come here and mess you guys up. And this all leads to a quick little beatdown segment and eventual tag team match between Liv and Raquel and Tiffany Stratton and Rhea Ripley. And I just want to start this off real quick by saying I kind of want Rhea and Tiffany to become a tag team in the future. Like, I like their dynamic together where they kind of argue with each other. Like
Yeah.
it's the whole story of just like opposites attract, where it's just like you have this Barbie girl, like this muscular Barbie girl with the dominating goth chick, and it's like, oh, they shouldn't meet, they shouldn't clash, they shouldn't be best friends, but they are. They're gonna high five and all that, and they're gonna be best friends. But that's just me. I kind of want that, but yeah. So let's talk about this opening segment here with Rhea coming out, adjusting the crowd. How did you guys feel about just like, I guess, you know, we're extending the Liv Morgan Rhea Ripley feud, obviously, because of Raquel Rodriguez. And how'd you guys feel about this opening segment, especially with like Tiffany coming out to run the, I don't want to say interference, but like the, we'll just say interference with like just driving the wedge in between this feud.
I would say this real quick. I love the reference that Watkins said about the tag team between them. It also reminds me, I don't know why, but the meme of the Barbie doll house, and then like right next to it is a golf, like all black house. But also, Rhea Ripley reminds me of Sam from Danny Phantom, and then Tiffany is the love interest that Danny had, that is like all wearing pink, and she thinks she's like all the best and cutest and everything. That's the closest reference that reminds me of Trick My Memory. However, talking about this match overall, I hate that Raquel gets thrown off by Rhea so quickly, and I feel like that's falling short in the story. Raquel is supposed to be the security guard for Liv in order, or act like the big type of bodyguard. But she doesn't feel like a wall or an obstacle for Rhea Ripley. It feels more like Rhea Ripley is just being like a bulldozer and just taking down Liv and Raquel's too fast for me. And it's not making it believable. Where now with Tiffany and Rhea, it just feels like two power star players, like two S class versus two maybe A class, and it just feels overpowered right now versus Liv and Rhea. I mean Liv and Raquel and that's what I felt like in the match for tonight. Because the match, it was entertaining. It delivered the comedy with Nia, everyone coming in at the end, and I like how Rhea was mad that Raquel got interrupted because, after the Riptide, Rhea was supposed to win. But then Raquel got involved. She threw her out. And I love how Rhea chose to tag herself out and told Tiffany, hey, finish this. And said, I'm going to go square up with Raquel. But then Raquel just getting so thrown down. Yes, I know Rhea is a dominant wrestler. She's very aggressive. But just feel like Raquel not coming back and botching her return, and then falling short as a bodyguard, it doesn't make it to believable match. How do you guys feel about that? Am I the only one in this?
If this was Friday night, I would probably agree with you more. Because I saw the clip from Friday night where Rhea just absolutely destroyed Raquel Rodriguez.
Just pushing her off. Yeah, like just straight through.
Yeah. But tonight Raquel looked a little better. I need the big boot she gave her at the beginning of the night, where and talk about placement, where Rhea just kind of falls right onto Tiffany Stratton's heel. That's gotta hurt, man.
Oh yeah, that looked painful.
I saw her grabbing her head, kind of flailing. I don't think she was really selling.
Oh yeah, that looked
the
painful
boot on that part.
That heel. I think she felt on the part that we put the heel of your foot, and it's just looking there I just can't imagine the headache you must have had there after, just throughout the whole night.
But I think tonight Raquel looked a lot better. She looked a little bit more stronger. But yeah, if we were talking about Friday night, I would probably be on your side with that part. But what about you, Job? What do you feel about that?
Oh yeah, I just rewatched that scene right now. Raquel goes for the big boot. Rhea falls on the mat. Tiffany's heel is standing up, if she placed it on the floor, standing up, and she hits her head right on there.
Yeah.
So that definitely didn't look planned at all. So just looking at it, it's making me cringe. But But the segment itself, I had a feeling we were gonna get this anyway, not because I sort of saw it coming, because I saw the little clips from last week, but also because of what played out on Friday bleeding into Monday, and made sense why they decided to come to Raw this time, just based on the sort of story that they were telling there. And I just think mainly, this whole thing going on with Rhea and Liv is also playing into the whole Tiffany and Nia story as well, because you're just looking at how Tiffany was placed with Rhea. That's almost like they're testing the waters of her as a baby face, because her and Rhea were pretty much the baby faces in this match against Liv and Raquel. So it was just nice to see them together, because they're just a pairing that I never really imagined to see. It works well. Do we see it in the future? Depends how we get there, and of course, if it makes sense, because just pairing up two random people doesn't always work out well all the time, especially when you're trying to establish tag teams and stuff like that. Just putting two people together just for the sake of doing it doesn't really make sense, as long as there's a legitimate reason to actually look at it, be like, okay, that works. But going off of what Vash said about the whole Raquel situation, I can understand where he's coming from, but at the same time, I feel like that's just how they're trying to portray her. I hate to be the bad news bearer, but she's pretty much going to be one of those things that Rhea is just going to plow through at Crown Jewel. That's your Crown Jewel match right there. And that's the door Rhea has to go through again in order for her to get on Liv, which she probably won't get on Liv anytime in November. But I feel like that's just her portrayal, and I feel like it just works out for her a lot better. Because if you compare how Raquel was before compared to now, I actually prefer this presentation.
Oh.
Because the best way to use Raquel is to just use her for her strength and have her just be mute. Because you don't necessarily need to talk in order to be effective. Like, as long as you play your part right and you actually do something that matters in the story that pushes it forward. Because she's pretty much Liv's muscle in this whole scenario. So as long as she plays that part and she's just staying true to that character, I'm okay with it. And having like Nia get involved again, it made sense because if you look at what happened on Friday, Liv is the reason why Nia lost that match against Naomi, because she hit her with Tiffany's briefcase, and then Nia got caught off guard by that, and Naomi was able to take the win off of there. So Nia coming back here and hitting her finisher on Liv to get revenge on her, I mean, it only makes sense. And I realize it's a story Nia, but I mean, you can't fool me about Tiffany Stratton cashing in on Liv Morgan. I mean, that's not the story. I know why they're doing it, because they're trying to tell a whole story of, oh no, you can't go after me. But like at the same time, I know that's not gonna happen. It's just not believable. It's like,
it felt so thrown off. It just pissed me off how like now like look.
Yeah,
I'm like,
it's just like you're setting up then you're setting up a match with her
between you exactly, and I'm like,
wait,
Nia, like you complain about Liv being an easy opponent, but then you want to fight the girl that's been your friend, or you've been questioning about your friendship for the past couple of weeks, but then actually Tiffany is the most slowest fucking person. It's like,
I mean, now that I think about it, it's kind of like we're in a situation where it's like you have Nia going up against Liv at Crown Jewel for this consolation prize, and you pretty much
it was a consolation prize.
Yeah. I mean, to me, it's just like some little toy belt that I'm probably gonna look at and
exactly. This old red universal title means more than your little crown jewel title.
But it's shit. But it's like, just looking at it right now, it's like Nia is supposed to be going up against Liv, but little does Nia know if Tiffany cashed in on Liv and actually won, then the both of them would be going up against one another.
But then the story would be is that Tiffany, I'm the queen. You will lose to me fairly because I'm the queen, and you're supposed to give me that title.
Yeah,
because I'm the queen.
I'm sorry. I'm not submitting to Nia Jax at all. I mean, I'm just there for the moment, depending on when it happens, either at Crown Jewel or Survivor Series, wherever it is, because Tiffany, even though that match is between her and Liv, if Tiffany does cash in, that becomes a match for whatever belts in her choosing. So just looking at how, just seeing her getting treated like it's like she's a child. I mean, it's only building. I can just feel it.
Yeah.
I also want to give a big shout out to Rhea. She also posted something on IG on her stories talking about people also talking bad about her online about the heel hit. So I just want to give a big shout out to her. Like, hey, I hope you're feeling better. On her IG, she said, but I'm the bad person. Of people literally wishing for me to get hurt and laughing about it.
Oh yeah. By the way, by the way, I'm just gonna come out and say this. If you're honestly wishing like an injury on a wrestler, you're a piece of shit. I'm sorry. I mean, even if you're trying to do it for meme or engagement or whatever, you're just a piece of shit. I'm sorry. I mean, these people that go out here and put their lives on the line, believe it or not, because you probably don't, because one little misstep could actually cause a lot of damage. Just saying that. But it's like they put their bodies on the line for our entertainment. I mean, CM Punk and Drew McIntyre is a good example. They put each other through hell for our entertainment. And this is what these people do on a regular day basis. And if you're going out there wishing somebody to be injured just because you don't like them, or you have this glaze fest for your favorite wrestler, whatever you want to call it, this glazing, like you're trying to glaze a whole bunch of donuts or some shit. Like, you need to get that out of your head, man. This isn't some fan fiction, some shipping war from some fucking anime or some dumb shit like that. Like, you really need to chill out. I mean, that's not right. Like, it's not even funny. Like, that, if you look at it at that point, that's not even human. Like, that's actually pretty disgusting to have a thought process like that. Like, I can understand if you don't like the person, that's fine. Because there's some wrestlers that I can appreciate their work, but I might not be like, oh yeah, that's my favorite wrestler, but I'm not gonna wish them any harm because that's just fucked up. Sorry to go off the rails there, but I
no,
get
you're fine. It's the fact of like, don't be edgy just to be edgy. Like,
yeah, exactly.
Just don't.
No.
Like, there's no point of it, you know. And there's already so much online on the internet as is that's just ridiculous. You know, just chill out, people. Just chill. It's fine. Okay, you don't have to try to be the next edgelord.
I'd like
to
add something real quick. If you don't have nothing nice to say, just don't say anything. Like, really think about it before you send a tweet. Even as us creators and entertainers, Rhea just happened to hit the heel. It was not planned. It was probably not a spot. And she actually looked painful. And for you to say anybody or any wrestler to wish something upon their injury or for them to lose a job, you rather them lose money in their income of what they pay the bills or stay alive in their household, their family, and feed people. Come on, guys. Like, don't do this. Be civil. We all work. We all have to survive one way or another. So please be respectful to anybody that you say online. Yes, we get it. It's internet. It's just a voice of millions in a day. But understand that it could still be seen and watched. Just smile.
Vash, how else am I going to get super famous and rich? How else am I going to do that? I have to be controversial, don't I? It shouldn't be about that, people. But anyways, we're getting off topic with all that. But back to the match and all that stuff going on and all that. I do want to point out there was a really good camera shot during this match. It was when Tiffany did her blind tag early on, and her and Rhea started kind of having an argument, like outside of the ring and all that. And you just see, like, the camera is, you know, centered on, you know, Rhea and Tiffany. And then in the background, you can see, you can see Raquel and Liv, like, start getting their double team move ready to, like, launch Liv out there. Like, it's moments like that that just makes the product live. Like, it feels like you're living in it. Like,
I love
it's cinema. It's cinema. I guess that's the word we're looking for here.
As somebody who works in production, I knew this was happening even before the spot happened, because I could tell that this pre-tape script writing for this episode was actually planned out and much better than last week. Last week I feel like they didn't know what to do. They already planned next week, and it shows. They already knew about Friday's episode to lead up to Monday's pre-tape episode. It shows the difference in writing and property, because when they prepped this camera angle, the way Rhea was there and then Raquel left, and then both of them were talking for so long, knowing continue arguing each other, waiting for the right time for Liv to drop, and they both held Liv at the right opportunity. It just showed that they actually planned this very well. It was obvious because in my head, I'm like, I'm talking and arguing for way too long. That is making the spot way too obvious. But then I had to remind myself, like, it's not because it's obvious. It's just because I notice it faster because of the production, the camera angles, and the cameraman's already getting to job, or Paul's, tucking the ears saying like, hey, go to the spot, go to the middle, catch him the angle, go lower. So it's very well choreographed. So I really want to appreciate Watkins or anybody that actually catches those spots, because it's very well done, and it just shows that this episode of Raw was much better story-wise and scripted and production-wise, much better than last week. Again, we're gonna be honest and shit on last week's episode because it was bad.
Yeah, it was kind of bad, and I mean, also kudos to them for having a lot of promo videos ready, ready to go and all that.
It made the first hour so smoothly.
It did. It really did. It kind of helped with the pacing too, with everything. But
Mm.
yeah, and I mean that just kind of leads to what we're about to talk about here next. But thanks to Dom, Liv was able to escape still with her title, and we're still going to be getting Nia Jax versus Liv Morgan at Crown Jewel and all that. But yeah, so like one of the promo works that we're going to talk about tonight is this one about Dragon Lee. Now, this was produced very well, I thought, and it's just kind of hyping him up, wanting to be the next, again, the next Rey Mysterio and all that, but like wanting to just excel and be his own thing, and like he's grateful that he has his heroes like Rey Mysterio to kind of be behind him and give him the proper guidance that he wants and needs.
It
But
doesn't mean to
I
fucking
thought,
tag team with him, my dude. Sorry.
well, we'll get into that here, but like about the promo segment itself, like how'd you guys think about this? Like, how'd you feel about this? Like, I thought it was produced very well, it was edited very well, even with like the at the end of it with like the cheesy like CGI wings coming out of his back, like spikes and all that. Like, it was kind of cool, but like at the same time, it was kind of like, oh, this is the kind of cheese that I like. But yeah, how'd you guys feel about this
I love it.
promo package that we got of it?
I love this
Hmm?
promo. I'm gonna be honest. I really enjoyed it. As a Dragon Lee fan, I first found him in NXT when I was watching last year. He got bumped up into the main roster, but then got forced to the LWO. Even during his video package, he said it was a dream of mine to join the LWO and be part of it. And I'm like, no, you should be your own thing. Be your own person. Why do you gotta be joining to the Hispanics team together and only them? But it just annoys me. But we're gonna talk about that. But promo wise, it really solidified my what's the word? My careness, my attraction for this wrestler. He's good. I'm a fan for the wrestler to know and see what he
Hmm.
does. However, if it doesn't execute, then it just falls flat. That's what this promo made for me. It's like, I love it. They put the money, they put the production, the CG for the wings on his back. It just made it look good. Saying that he's meant to fly. Great ending. It makes sense why he does a lot of flying, high flying type of movesets. But if it doesn't execute, then I will be forgetting about this promo and be like, oh, this promo's flat. It's not that worth. So it's like
Hmm.
excitement, but then a bit cautious.
Okay. All right. So like a cautious optimism then. Okay. All right. Fine. I could see that. I could see that. What about you, Drop? How do you feel about What were your thoughts on this promo segment of Dragon Lee's?
I mean, it was a well done package. The main question I
Hmm.
have is he really going to get a proper push this time? Because that's what a
Yeah.
lot of people have been wanting for Dragon Lee. I mean, you could shoot out as many vignettes as you possibly want. It's not going to make any difference if there isn't any execution behind it, because you could
Hmm.
have like 3 to 4 vignettes play out throughout the month, and if you don't hit it where you need to, it's not going to really matter at the end. That's why I'm
Yeah.
hoping this is WWE telling us, like, okay, we're actually going to take it serious this time. We're actually going to showcase Dragon Lee in the light that he deserves to be in. And we do know that they are involved in a #1 contendership, little mini tournament, I guess they're doing. I don't know, with
Yeah.
Rey Mysterio and Dragon Lee. So if they're really trying to push the Dragon Lee hype train, I mean, my biggest thing to say is, if you're putting
Do it.
effort in that video package
Yeah.
to really put them out there again, you might as well, try to do as much as you possibly can of him with him this time. Don't just do the video package and have him lose a match. I mean, God forbid he's the one that takes the pinfall next week.
Yeah. Oh my God. If he's the one to take the pinfall, it's
Yeah.
like, again, what are we doing? What are we doing with it? And
Exactly.
like the fact. Mm,
that That just got me sad hearing it. Oh my god, that just got me sad for Dragon Lee if he takes the pin.
The fact that they're facing off against the Creed brothers too,
Thank you.
Yeah.
who
Thank you.
they also kind of desperately need a win
I
right
said
now.
that
Like
in the chat.
they're on like the building back up stage of their
Yeah,
careers,
that's
like
the thing.
ever since like the Wyatt Six stuff. Like if you were gonna have them face off against anybody in LWO, why not the other two? Why not Joaquin
see-
Wilde and the other guy's name? I always forget.
That's the thing, because it's like they had the tendency to put people in matches that desperately need wins. Like you can put two tag teams in a match that desperately need wins in order for them to move higher up on the food chain on Raw or SmackDown or NXT, whatever the case may be. There's always something like this that pops up because, I mean, you have New Day involved in that. I mean, we have a story currently ongoing with that. We got the Authors of Pain. I mean, I out of all these people, I'm seeing New Day, Authors of Pain, Rey Mysterio, and Dragon Lee, and American Made. I mean, a lot of them really need wins to make them feel legitimate again.
Yeah.
Especially Authors of Pain. I mean, they shouldn't be displayed as like a joke.
If you tell
Just
me,
knowing.
if I'm going from what Drop said, if you're going to tell me Artists of Pain versus New Day, I would want the Artists of Pain to win because the New Day has issues, so you gotta push them to continue having issues. So Artists of Pain wins. But then when you come to the Grief Brothers and and Dragon Lee, Rey Mysterio, I don't care. Ray, I love you, but right now for you and your path, I need Dragon Lee to get pushed. But Rey Mysterio, you might get the L. The Creed Brothers need more of the team because they're an actual team compared to you guys, so they need the W. So if we're gonna get pinned, I'd rather be Rey Mysterio. Dragon Lee, I hope you just get thrown out or get like 5 thrown type of finishers or something. But I hope the Creed Brothers win, because if the American Made is supposed to challenge all these people, like they said in their promo work as well, it's like, hey, I need you to put the work. So Creed Brothers, I hope you do your thing, but I'm so sad for Dragon Lee and Authors of Pain. Please win. That's all.
Yeah, and like I'm not really upset with like the New Day AOP part of it, because it's like that can easily play into like the whole New Day story that we're doing right here. So that's fine. It's the whole Dragon Lee Rey Mysterio part of it. But like, yeah, I mean, okay, well that was basically that promo segment. I mean, again, just hyping up Dragon Lee and all that. But let's talk about another match. You know, speaking of the New Day, it's good. It's a good thing we're talking about the New Day. Oh yeah, more heartbreak for Vash. More heartbreak for, well, not much heartbreak for me, because like not too much New Day arguing this week.
That is true.
But
that is true.
Yeah. Well, I wasn't even
so we had
Just
Bron Breakker here.
Ah, yes.
Oh yeah, that's later on. That's later on for you, buddy. But yeah, we had Bron Breakker here just decimating Kofi Kingston. I mean, the match, you know, it was fine. It was a hard fought one, but like, you kind of knew who was gonna win this, anyways, with how they're portraying everything, how like certain stories are playing out and all that. But like, it was still really good and a good showcase for Braun too, and also just another notch in his belt too. Because I mean, Kofi is a former world champion, and here comes Bron Breakker just kind of tossing him around and like physically, like being a physical specimen, like the alpha male that he is towards Kofi Kingston.
Look, I want to be appreciated that I wasn't there in the Kofi Mania, you know, getting destroyed to the Beast. As he was named twice, we didn't bring him up in the first time. With Cody bringing him up the first time with the Beast, and then Seth much later we're gonna bring up. But the reason I bring that context is because this match reminded me of the current version of the Beast, Bron Breakker. It's like the spear, the strength, the craziness, like the amount of power of Bron Breakker holds. So I like how this fight kind of was a better version of what would happen with Brock Lesnar versus Kofi at WrestleMania, where the match was, I think, like 6 seconds. So I really appreciated how this match actually was a couple of minutes longer. So in that part, Kofi held off. So I appreciate that match. At least, Kofi doing his thing. He tried, he delivered. And, I appreciate Kofi, helping also Bron Breakker to get over in this heel side. So I appreciate that, Kofi, from you. So big shout out in that aspect.
Hmm. Yeah. And there was something else with that too. Here, drop, go and let us know what you thought of it while I'm trying to think of because I kind of had something to go with this too.
I mean, going along with like this match itself, I mean, this was just building up Bron Breakker for next week because he has a match against Jey Uso. So you got to give you got to give Bron some momentum, only because he's entering that match, and normally, I mean, you gotta feed a couple people to Bron Breakker if you want him to feel like all energized when he gets into the ring with Jey Uso again. But I mean, I mean, it works out for like both people because you got Bron Breakker that's, like I said, heading into the match with Jey Uso next week, but also to add more to the whole story of Kofi Kingston and Xavier Woods, and seeing how that's gonna play out next week for them as well. I mean,
yeah,
I'm more interested to see exactly like what's gonna be happening with this match next week because besides the match itself, I mean, it did what it needed to do. The outcome was predictable. I mean, a lot of us saw it coming. There was no way Bron Breakker was going to lose this match. But I think what I was really into the most, to be perfectly honest, that I got more invested in besides this match is probably what we saw in the locker room when Jey Uso was walking down the hallway, because I'll admit I knew it was coming. I just didn't know they were going to show it right here. But at the same time, I'm kind of happy they are showing it here because you got to have some build up within the weeks. You can't just do it in November and try to do the payoff towards the end of November.
Exactly.
But I mean, that's all my thoughts on that match. I don't know if you guys want to get into that part. We can. If you have anything you want to say on it.
Yeah, I think the last little bit here is at least for me is like, just like with the whole beatdown part at the end of the match, with Jey coming back out to help the New Day, because I mean Xavier tried to come out, he tried to help.
How do you forget Xavier means that he's
really
that
do
forgettable?
anything.
He's that forgettable.
No, not at all. I mean, he wasn't out there to, be out there with Kofi during the match, so that's one thing already. But I mean, even commentary was surprised that Xavier was out there at the end of the match to help Kofi. I'm just like, wait, but they're friends, like they're buddies. Like,
I think Joe was feeding to the story because he said that Xavier is the QB, but Kofi, didn't want him to be out there to call the shots. So, like, I think that was their version of way of trying to feed the story to remind the audience that, Xavier's still trying to be the QB. And
well, like that's the thing though. It's just like, now that the match is over, he doesn't have to worry about that. So it's like, okay, now he can just do whatever he wants.
I have a question before we transition into in our interesting conversations that we're about to have. Did you see the rumor of that depending on Big E next test results, I think it's in 2 weeks, that they might be transitioning him back into the story for November in the 10th year anniversary, is what, depending on Big E results of what he might lead up to, if he could come back to like some proper way, or like, not probably full-time ring, but at least probably part-time. Would you guys think that if this actually succeeds, if that's the route of what we might lead up to?
I mean I've already said that, like, yeah, I've said that like months ago. Like, if they're gonna be doing this kind of angle like this, it better be leading to Big E returning and bringing the New Day back together. Like,
but what happens
I said
if
that
he's not in good health
months
to
ago.
come back? How do you
Then
think
they are going to get this Tensazan Getsu up.
To be perfectly honest, he
up
doesn't
somewhere.
really need to take part in the ring and do any matches, because at this point we don't really need him. I mean, would it be cool? Sure, but at the same time, the story is the New Day right now. So him just being an on-screen figure when it comes to what's currently going on of Xavier Woods and Kofi Kingston is honestly more than enough to have him on television, especially with the anniversary coming up. I mean, you can't really celebrate the anniversary of just Kofi and Xavier. So if you really want to make a big impact with what's going on, then you got to have Big E involved. I don't necessarily, if they want to put him in a match, sure, but at the same time, I do not think he needs to be in the ring at all to really make a difference with what's currently going on right now, because you could still tell a very compelling story with him just being there.
Yeah. I miss Big E on my TV. I miss him so much.
Yeah.
Just his energy. It's just so infectious, you know. And I'm at least glad they're still doing something with him in the company. I'm at least glad that he's still getting a paycheck, you know.
Hey, but you know who is getting a paycheck in the Bloodline? Jimmy is going to both shows, not just like, you know, Tiffany and Nia. You know, Jimmy is trying to reconcile with Jey. And I love how he says, nah, bro, I don't want nothing to do with you. Get out of my face. And look, one thing that a big shout out to the guy that, damn, on Twitter, he even said as a joke that, look at Jey still being mad even after the WrestleMania match. You guys should apologize about that. I'm like, hey, sir, the WrestleMania match still wasn't great. I'm glad that they're continuing the story of how Jade don't want to fuck with the Bloodline still, or fuck with what's going on, or even be part of it. So I appreciate that, Jade. Thank you for not wanting no contact with your brother, and you gotta move on and do your thing.
Yeah, see, that's why I like how they're telling this story right now. Now that we're finally like talking about it, because I wouldn't be a fan if they just jumped into this and then Jey was completely okay with just working alongside Jimmy and Roman again, because you got to pay attention to what happened between all of them when it came to the departure, when it came to how Roman treated Jey and how Jimmy treated Jey. I mean, the whole reason why Jey is main event Jey Uso is because he wanted to break out of the bloodline and actually become somebody, and he actually managed to achieve that goal. So with that in mind, you know, Jey is trying to focus on his future. He's trying to move forward. He's not trying to go back. He's not trying to put himself in a situation that he desperately tried to get himself out of. Because if you guys looked at the whole evolution when it came to Jey in the beginning and then looking at his exit, especially with what we saw at the Royal Rumble last year when it came to Sami Zayn finally standing up to himself and hitting Roman across the back with that chair and having Jey Uso walk out. And then a little bit later in the months around that one SmackDown episode where he just turned on Roman and everything just took off from there. You got to understand where this is coming from, because any normal person that's put into this situation that was in Jey's shoes, they would react the same way. I'm pretty sure the both of you, if you were put into Jey's situation, you had a lot of good shit going for you right now, you wouldn't want to look back, because that was the past you were trying to escape. So why are you trying to insert yourself in there? That's why I'm happy that they're actually taking some time to tell this story, because you can't really tell the story of them just clicking together like that. Like, you actually have to show, okay, how are we going to get there? How is Jimmy going to be on the same side as Jey again? How is Roman and Jey especially what we saw from Roman on Friday, where he said no heat. Roman doesn't want to do. Roman doesn't want anything to do with Jey at all. So it's like, you got to build off of that and have it make sense, and give us a story when it comes to, okay, how do we get there and how it makes sense. You have to show us how it makes sense, and you have to show like that's the goal right now. It's like, how does it make sense for Jey to come back? Because realistically, Jey doesn't have to come back.
He don't.
He doesn't. No, he doesn't.
You gotta throw. And like, you gotta throw something in there that actually
he left the nest.
Makes Jey. Yeah. That's why you got to throw something in there that actually makes sense for Jey to be a part of.
Yeah, and like that's always been my thing with this whole old bloodline coming back together thing. I've said it many times. It's just like you have to be very delicate with this. You have to be very careful with how you write Jey back into the fold of all that.
Agree.
And
Yeah, you don't wanna
already,
complicate anything.
do what?
'Cause we don't want to make any like plot holes or
Exactly.
convolute stuff.
You know, like yeah, and I think and I said this in our group message too. It's like I think the main key with all of this is going to end up being Paul Heyman. Like I think
Oh
he's
yeah,
going to
it makes
be
sense.
the one to the one to get Jay to come back into the fold, because like we saw months ago when Solo and his group confronted Jay really quick. They were just like, what up, little bro?" And it's just like, well, no, I'm not little bro. You're just cosplaying as Tribal Chief. But like when you saw that look that Paul Heyman gave, that like desperate like look of help me, like
Yeah.
Jay's the kind of person, like he would do something, he would help Paul Heyman. I feel like in kayfabe, I think he would, because like as much of like a kind of a backstabbing kind of prick prick that Paul Heyman can be, he still did very well for Jey and Jimmy, and like he's a businessman. He's the wise man, if anything, and like just that alone, that namesake alone, is going to be very helpful in bringing Jay back into the fold. And I think we're going to get like a really big segment where like Paul ends up getting Jay to like come to SmackDown or something, and we're going to get like this big talking moment. And I don't think it's going to be like the moment that they all come back together, but it's going to be the moment where Jay's going to be like, okay, I'll help you guys, but it's not going to be like yeet or anything. And then when the match actually happens, like when we get that not Blood Wars, that War Games match, I think within the match we're gonna get the big reunion, because like they're gonna be so hyped up, they're gonna have like all this adrenaline rushing to the point where like I'm picturing just in my mind where they just like decimate Temu bloodline, and then like we just see Jimmy and Jay just like give this like big old hug, and like this big old like man hug, and then all of a sudden they just both go yeet, and it's just
Yeah,
like the
yeah,
whole
the crowd's gonna pop
mm-hmm.
just like how Jimmy and Roman hugged. The crowd's gonna pop.
Yep. Like it's gonna be bonkers. And then when Roman gets in there, like I swear, if Jay's able to get Roman to yeet, if he's able, the roof might just explode.
And it will.
In-
Just
in-
even
in
them
Canada
hugging.
that
I feel
night.
like even them hugging might even be a bigger pop than Jimmy and Jay.
Mm-hmm.
To be perfectly
Like-
honest, just looking at how the story started with them.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, I know I've also said, Sammy going back into the fold too. Like that's the other
I
piece
feel
of the
like
puzzle
he's
too. Like having Sam, because like he's the one too.
honorary
Like exactly, and like he kept the peace for so long. I mean, when the segment where he just says he's just wasn't feeling a little oozy, like
Oh, I
that
still
broke
watch that.
them.
I still watch that to this day. I've seen it on my G
Yeah.
reels, and I still watch it knowing that I've seen it so many times. I've probably seen it like maybe 100
I
times at
mean-
least. And
Yeah.
just to add to all this conversation, look, I am okay with our boy Jay, main event Jey Uso, yeet, him going towards back the bloodline to back them up and help them for Survivor Series of Bloodline OG versus 2.0. I'm okay with that. But the caveat is this. There's a match next week. Bron Breakker gets his rematch because Bron Breakker wants to be that dude. He wants to be like, hey, you didn't respect me. I didn't feel like respect. I'm going to go spear you a couple times and we're going to have issues. Cool. He gets his match back, rematch clause, whatever it may be. However, the one thing is that Jimmy asked him 2 times, attempted. Jay, when I don't know if this was a choice writer, producer, but I wish Jay held his title belt up front to him so Jimmy could also look at that, show why Jay also doesn't want that. He's like, hey, I got my belt, my title, my trophy with me this whole time.
Hmm.
I'm doing my own thing.
Mm.
So I wish that was what Jay was doing. Instead, it was just showing the end tip of the belt. Cool, still shows little Jey Uso's name on the gold plate. Him just walking out, he's like, I don't want nothing to do with you. Understandable. Jay's still mad about the bloodline, just moving on their match. But if Jay loses
Yeah.
next week because of the bloodline or because of Jimmy, that's supposed to do the opposite
No.
effect. Now bring Jay
Nah.
to the bloodline. Cool. But if Jay still holds the title, but it's because Bron Breakker was cheating or something, and Jimmy helped him out to retain the title, maybe that's something like, yo, Bron Breakker did something shady.
See, that's where
I would appreciate
Yeah.
if Jimmy did like a brother thing. Like, look, bro, I'm not trying to cause more issues. We fuck up. I try to help you. Can we at least talk? If that something happens where a brother thing he did, I would maybe go over it. That's my only thing. How'd you guys feel?
See, that's where I was gonna add
yeah.
into that because, like, looking into like the match that we have next week, it's between Bron Breakker and Jey Uso.
Uh-huh.
I can actually see one of those things happening where
Hmm.
Jimmy actually helps Jay retain. Because let's say, like you said, Bron Breakker is gonna be doing some nasty shit within the match itself just so he can get his title back. One of the things that you could possibly do to maybe get that spark between Jay and Jimmy again, because if you looked at Jay, whenever he was involved in a title match before he even won the IC title, Jimmy was always fucking up his matches. He was always costing him every single time.
Mhm.
Like whenever he had a title opportunity, he was always screwing him over every single
That's
time.
true
And
for the world
knowing how
title
they
and the others.
recently
Yeah, you're
came in
right.
contact again, yeah, and since they recently came in contact again, I wouldn't be surprised if, Jimmy's really trying to hard to reach out to Jay, and he knows it's gonna be hard because he knows what he did to really affect their relationship that made them separate to begin with. So I wouldn't be surprised if Jimmy actually does help him retain, if Bron Breakker does try to do something shady, only for Jay to look at him again and be like, maybe I should consider at least having a little talk with you or something, or actually see that Jimmy's actually being legitimate this time, because maybe off of that you can build that trust again.
See, I don't see that playing out like that. I could still see Jay being pissed that they're getting involved, because like that's the whole thing with like Jay's, like why Jay moved away from them, like why he like said I'm leaving, I'm out of here. Like he wanted to do things on his own and to prove that he could do it on his own. And like even if Jimmy were to help him retain the title, I could still see Jay like still being mad and all that. Like he might pull the line of like, "Oh, I'll hear you out," but like I don't see it happening like right there in that moment because again, like Jay's trying to do this stuff on his own. So like I don't think that would really help that much, you
I,
know?
I
Just
mean,
just because of
unless
how the
Bloodline gets
character
involved,
is. Yeah.
or unless Bloodline gets involved, and maybe you see Jimmy trying to fend them off. Maybe he doesn't
Yeah.
necessarily need to take part in the match itself. But let's say
Exactly that too,
hypothetically,
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
because Cody and Solo are having a dark match next week. It's supposed to be
Yeah.
a street fight, so they are going to be in the building,
Okay.
even though that doesn't necessarily mean anything.
Question:
But
is that for Monday Night
hypothetically,
Raw
if
or Friday Night SmackDown Street Fight?
Probably
yes, Monday
yeah.
Night Raw. But let's say we see things. Let's say we see like a story play out on Friday that leads into Monday, and you never know if there's something going through Solo's head or Tama Tonga's head or Tongaloa's head or Jacob Fatu's head. You never know if maybe Solo tries to send them down there, and then Jimmy
Yeah.
goes there for that very reason, where he's like, you know what, I don't want to fuck this up with Jay, but he at least defends him by taking out the bloodline, so they don't fuck with him.
Yeah, and that I wouldn't mind
Solo's
if
gonna do
that was
everything he
part of it.
possibly
Yeah.
can.
Yeah.
Yeah, because
If that
especially
was
how
part of
they're
it,
saying
yeah.
how they want help. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because you could have a segment like a short little thing on SmackDown where Solo's just like, all right, he's gonna go on Raw. All right, will go on Raw and take care of this so they won't have it. And like you could have them like say that like in like the hallway or something, and then like when they walk away, you just kind of see like Jimmy poke around and be like, "Oh shit," kind of something like that.
Yes.
Like,
Yeah.
Like,
And al-
you know,
and, al-
that could
and
literally be a
also
Friday
Roman's
show
gonna
right
be
there.
here.
mhm.
And also Roman's schedule, he's supposed to be here until the end of the year. So Roman's gonna
Yeah.
be here for like the rest of the year up until like Survivor Series. He'll probably be in there like main event, but that's another conversation. But it's like he could easily like you'll probably see a segment where he talks to Roman. He says that he tried to talk to Jey and everything, and he doesn't know what's going on. Even though that Roman doesn't really give a shit, but at the same time, you could see that he was kind of contemplating, where it's like, maybe you're right. As much as I hate to admit it, maybe you're right.
Yeah.
So it's like something on Friday is definitely gonna bleed into Monday because now Solo knows that Jimmy went down to Raw to come in contact with Jey. So Solo's probably gonna do everything that he possibly can to make sure that that group doesn't form.
Exactly.
We also can't forget our boy Uzi. He may also get involved next week. He didn't show up this week to work, so then most likely he's going to be next week.
Thing. See, that's the thing. You gotta you gotta throw Sammy there now in order for me to see that, because I don't want to just see Sammy pop up without any build up.
Yeah, you've got to have at least a little something, even if it's like next week. Because remember when Jey first was facing Braun and Sammy came by and was just like kind of hyped him up a little bit. If he did a little segment like that, I think that would be some build or something, or like maybe Sammy, when he does it this time, is just like, hey, I was watching SmackDown, because we know they watch the shows now because they're not stupid anymore.
They're like, hey,
we know that they actually pay attention to their own world and universe.
Exactly.
So so Sammy can actually be like, hey, I noticed this. If you want me out there, something like that, like some sort of line like that,
Yeah.
I have a question, because they do say that, but my question is, do they say that they watch it like on their own Hulu DVR? Because how's that going to work for next year? Let's say, hey, I watch Raw on Netflix. Is that going to be like a cross promo every single week? Because before, they used to never say it where they watch it, like Hulu streaming. So I wonder if that's going to be like a cross promotion in the future, whenever it's a Friday, like, hey, I watch Raw on Netflix. I have it on my account or some shit.
I think they're just going to acknowledge whatever story is going on. They're probably not going to bring up any platforms or anything.
Okay, that's good.
Because you even have people on Raw bringing up what happened on Cody, and they weren't even there.
Exactly.
I mean,
they mentioned about Kale.
Seth is a good example. Steph's not like, I was at home with Becky on Peacock watching Bad Blood that I wasn't a part of. Like, even Seth brought it up in the beginning of the show last week, so they're obviously aware of what's going on with everything.
Exactly. Oh boy. But from one group trying to get together to another group that has split apart because of another group, and a third yellow entity, if you've ever played Prior Warriors 4, is getting involved. So thanks to the Final Testament, they're strolling to the ring during a match, during an R-Truth Miz match that everybody was so looking forward to this week. R-Truth rolled up the Miz and then got beaten up very badly afterwards. Vash, how do you feel about not getting your match of the night tonight?
No lie, I'll tell you guys this. At 9:30, I was expecting the tag team match to start, meaning Rhea and Tiffany to come out at 9:30, hit the promos, and I was like, oh shit, the girls about a main event and have a 20-minute match. Like, by the time they come out, it's 9:40. But then R-Truth starts to come out and sing, like, oh shit, I forgot about this match. R-Truth and The Miz. Great. The match was literally, not even the match, the whole segment was literally 9:32 to 9:41. It was literally less than 10 minutes. It was 9 minutes. And the whole segment itself, it felt like, I don't know why, but the Final Testament felt like a mafia boss or when he said, when, like the line, I saw the eyebrow wonkers, but hold up. The line when he said, boys, get him. It's like you literally
Oh,
telling
yeah.
Authors of Pain to literally get R-Truth. I felt like the goons, like, I don't know, it felt like some type of Two-Face or some type
Like-
of boss literally telling the goons, like,
I mean,
go to work.
I could see like the supervillain thing.
Yeah.
I could see that more than like a
Yeah.
mafia boss. But yeah,
like a super villain thing. So
okay.
it just felt so cliche in
Yeah.
that. And then the Miz just taking him out with a skull crusher, and then many props. I believe it was Jackie Redmond that did a backstage interview with fucking R-Truth. She did not break character. R-Truth was trying so hard. R-Truth was saying, "Man, we're butt buddies." Me and it's talking to the Miz. Like, R-Truth is in his own world, thinking that the Miz was not, betraying him or going heel, and I love how R-Truth broke 4-4 about that. So the segment
mean-
overall was really nice. Was it something I was excited for? No. Was it something that I was pleased? Yes. Was it something that would I continue being excited for week to week? Yeah. The Miz being healed, that was fun.
Okay.
Can they actually execute something? We're about to see it in the next few weeks.
See, and you
Yeah.
see that was the only interesting part, honestly, is because
Yeah.
like, don't get me wrong, like the whole truth stuff is funny, but sometimes things get stale after a while, and
Mm.
it's hard for me to really care about what's going on of R-Truth, because when we first started off with it, the story called for it and it made sense, especially what was going on with the Judgment Day and everything that was going on with R-Truth around that time. But I don't really care about like what's going on with R-Truth right now. I'm happy that the Miz turned heel, because that's the perfect place to put him, and I'm glad that
Yeah.
he actually listened to the Authors of Pain and the rest and everybody else, because he really doesn't need R-Truth anymore. So I kind of feel like we're
He
going
doesn't.
around a circle with this story, where it's like
Yeah.
we see the same thing every week. Yeah, there might be like a little small difference, but at the same time, it's the same shit every week. And I can't say, let's see what happens, because I was thinking to myself today, I was like, you know what? I'll see how a certain thing plays out the first time, but once I see it the second time and the third time, then that's when I'm going to start questioning it. And this literally has not gone anywhere, and it's really hard for me to really care about it. I mean, the only place it really hit is when the heel turn happened with Miz, because that was needed. Like I mentioned, it just suits his character a lot more. And I honestly rather than just dive into this whole a Wyatt 6 story with Miz now, like, get
Yeah.
R-Truth out of this. And I especially, and I'm just being completely honest here, I do not want to see R-Truth involved in the Wyatt 6 story, because that's meant to be a very serious thing, not a joking matter.
I think Final Testament's going to be more involved with that.
Yeah.
Because mainly because they're trying to ally themselves with the Miz.
Yeah.
And aesthetically, that kind of makes more sense.
Yeah,
And
definitely.
I mean, I know the Wyatt Six are still relatively new,
Yeah.
but I mean, having the Final Testament go a few wins over the Wyatt Six wouldn't hurt their stock.
No,
It wouldn't hurt the AOP stock.
We're
Like,
actually
it wouldn't
helping.
hurt Karrion Kross.
We're helping and
Like-
Yeah.
we're elevate them so
Yeah,
fucking
see,
much. Like, this
Yeah,
will
and I'd
actually
rather
help them improve. But also, I have a question to you guys. What do you? I know I could save this for the overall thoughts because I was going to, but since this kind of compares to, would you rather see Authors of Pain in the Final Testament, or more pure Fusion Collective on screen in the 2-hour show?
I'd rather Final Testament. I'm not.
I was
gonna
about to
lie.
leave the call
I-
after
I
you
was-
asked that.
Please don't do that,
I
because
would-
that would mess
I
up my
would-
whole OBS.
Because here's the thing. At least the Final Testament has promise.
Yeah.
At least they have promise.
That's true.
Least-
Whereas with Pure Fusion Collective is just
Yeah.
boring and
mean,
makes me wonder
Karrion
why.
Kross's philosophies actually come true.
Yes, every single one.
And
Yeah,
they-
exactly.
And they actually have an effect on what's going on. When it comes
Yeah.
to I mean, they weren't even on the show tonight, so I don't
Exactly.
even want to bring them up. But
Well, that's because they had their 10 woman tag match from last week.
yeah,
Before
That
the
was enough
recording.
for them for the next 2 weeks. But like
Oof.
this R-Truth missed stuff, I am hopeful. So we just gotta see if the Authors of Pain and how the White Six connects to this. And I love how Joe and Wade Barrett didn't even mention the whole on screen of the Firefly and everything else.
yeah,
They just continue moving on. Like, we're not going to even mention this once, guys.
Yeah.
Let's just continue on the show.
yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, I think adding the Wyatts with this, especially with the Final Testament, it's
Yeah.
gonna do something good for the Final Testament, I think.
I'm really hopeful.
Yeah.
Wait, is
Ah,
Scarlett gonna be
but from-
involved with this with Nikki Cross?
Probably.
I'm curious about
Probably.
that. I'll be very hopeful to see Scarlett in the ring on also live TV because we have only heard that she's been
Yeah.
part of the house shows. So I will be hopeful to see about this.
Well, hopefully you weren't as hopeful as I was with this next match because man, I knew it wasn't gonna happen. I knew it, but there's still my heart that just wants Io Sky and Kairi Sane to continue to do well and to continue to succeed and elevate themselves and a certain tag division that needs it. So we had Jade and Bianca retaining their titles against Io and Kairi Sane after some slight interference from Chikara and Lash Legend. So I'm not too big with the NXT stuff. So I don't really know too much about Chikara Jackson and Lash Legend. I know they kind of got shafted on SmackDown with their match because like KO came in, interrupted, and then like they ended up having like a less than 5 minute match with Bianca and Jade.
Yeah, I was very
So
disappointed in
them
that.
getting involved here was interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, I was very disappointed in that. Their match in SmackDown was so cut short.
Yeah.
But I understand the 2-hour show and store purposes. And they
Right.
made up for it for Monday. And I know Drop could talk more about this, but I am okay with Last Legend and Jakara to be part of this. One, girls, yeah, Slade tonight. Two, I love Io's tweet that she said about, I don't know if you saw this, her saying that I could take a punch, but then I get thrown it down like this. And I understand it because, you know, you got your hair pulled and then a punch right after. And then somehow you just wobble to the ring. And then Bianca just did a little hole up in the air and then thrown down. And I'm like, cool, you get knocked down. And by the way, that spear from Bianca was amazing to Io. Oh, I didn't expect
that was
that.
really good.
Oh, that was a good sell from Io as well. It looked painful and made it believable. So that was something that I didn't really expect. But was I sad that Io Sky didn't win and carries in the Sky Pirates or the Sky Warriors?
Sky Pirates.
Sky Pirates, yeah. I feel like Sky Warriors
Yeah.
is like a video game, but that just must be me bugging. But Sky Pirates, I understand your pain, Watkins. I understand. Could they have won?
Yeah.
Yes. Were they ready to win? Yes. Do I want them to win? Yes. Why did it not happen? I don't know. Jade and Bianca are holding the titles, and also to push maybe Lash and Jakara go from NXT to the main roster to see maybe they're testing the waters to add more women division to the main roster. That's probably a possibility, but then it makes me question. But Jakara and Lash hasn't gotten any type of single titles yet, even the NXT North American, the women's title, or the NXT main roster women's title. So like they haven't gotten either of those. So why would they even go for the tag team titles or even appear to the main roster twice now? Which is great exposure for them. So I'm very happy for them.
I mean,
But I wonder if this like is
I mean,
a long game.
plenty of women go up onto the main roster not winning the title. I mean, Ivy Niles, the first one that comes to mind. She never won any title, not even the I don't even think the NXT women's tag titles she won. Like, she was still brought up to the main roster. So, like,
Yeah, you're
title
right.
wins, I don't think necessarily really matter in that aspect. Uh, it kind of depends on the talent, though. Like, for somebody like, let's say, Trick Williams, for example, like, he's basically done almost anything that he can and probably wants to do. And, well, I don't know about wants to do, but like, he's done anything he can do in NXT, you know? So, like, his next stop is the main roster. But then, like, some people that just, they're just mid carders to no end, you know? And I'll throw Ivy Nile into that. Like, she was never really going to be somebody that would win the, even the NXT women's title.
I believe,
Maybe she'll win
I
like
believe,
one of the women's titles, but yeah.
I believe when she was still in NXT, the mid card for NXT wasn't out there yet. So when she already came onto
Yeah.
the main roster, she never got the opportunity. But I agree that it's gonna. I feel like every now once the mid card title for the main roster comes to play, I
Hmm.
feel like we will get a better opportunity for her to see where she could elevate herself.
Yeah. Yeah, which I mean could happen and all that, but and I think with this, and I said this too in our group chat, I think this might be leading towards a triple threat for the tag titles, which I'm also fine with because again, we're utilizing all of our rosters because like when you look at this on paper, it's like Jade and Bianca, they're based in on SmackDown. Jakar and Lash Legend, they're based on NXT with Io and Kyrie based on Raw. So like now we're finally getting like this inter promotional tag team match for these titles that are supposed to be floating between all the brands, which I think it's kind of cool, you know. And also too, it's giving Jakar Jackson and Lash Legend a chance to showcase on the main roster to show what they're all about. Now, that being said, you can't be having these 5 minute matches on these TV shows like you did on Friday, which is why I'm glad this match actually had some time and it slapped really hard. Sorry, everybody. I rocked out a lot this weekend, so my voice is like still pretty shot from all that. Um, but again, like this match was awesome. I mean, Io has really stepped up her game in
Oh,
the
she
past few
has.
months. Like ever since, honestly, ever since she won the title, she's like really upped her game in ring. Like just the way she moves, the way she sells, the way she just presents herself overall. Like Io's like she's seriously leveled up, and Kyrie's saying too, like she's gotten a lot better since coming back to WWE. I know there's a bit of a rough patch there where like people were just like, "Why is Kyrie here? Like, why is she doing this? Stop that! Like, why are we pushing her like that?" But like, Kyrie did really well in this match too, and like another thing too, I wanted to highlight, and it was basically just the finish of the match where Bianca had like that stalling suplex going on Io, and then she easily transitioned into the KOD for the win. Like that looked awesome doing that. But hey, look, Drop is back. Drop, what do you think of this women's tag title match that we had?
Um, when it comes to this match itself, I thought it was a good match,
Yeah.
especially when it came to damage control. I'm always really happy to see Io and Kyrie performing every week. And I mean, for the most part, I just kind of want this whole thing to like lead to somewhere because we've been having like a lot of these tag team title matches, and the big question is like,
Mm,
okay, what's the payoff with it? Because yes, you're giving some more time to the title, but at the same time, what's the payoff with it? Instead of just
yeah.
having more and more challenges after each title defense, like there has to be something else in the works.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering
Yeah,
why
like we have to
Jakara
be building to
Jackson
something.
and Lash Legend are still there, because they lost on Friday.
Mm,
And they did look good, don't get me wrong, but at the same time, it's like, where are we going with this? And if it
right.
is going to lead into a triple threat, I mean, do Jade and
Okay.
Bianca really need
Yeah.
these titles much longer?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, because that's like we're getting to the point now where it's just like, okay, who can really beat these two? And I remember when, Nia and Tiffany first started having their little relationship start blooming and all that as a team. Like everybody thought that they were going to be the ones, and I mean they could still be the ones, but we haven't even touched on them on that barely. I mean, well, we had an interaction with Tiffany and Bianca months ago, right?
Mhm.
That's what kind of led to people coming up with that rumor or something. Like they barely interacted or talked or anything. So I don't know if that's gonna be an end point right there. But like, yeah, I mean, I have nothing further to say on this.
No,
I just
I don't
kind
have
of
anything.
I want to know where we're going with all this.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you what segment we do know is going and where we might be going with it. It's this whole Bronson Reed and Seth Rollins thing going on because they both just want a match. Bronson Reed wants to prove himself that he is a top dog, that he is a top contender, that he can compete with the best of the best. Whereas with Seth Rollins, like he said in his part of all this, he's at the top of the food chain and he has to kind of protect his spot and all that. And they both want a match. They're pleading with Pierce, and Pierce is very hesitant on all this, which I get to a certain extent, but like, just let the boys fight. Let the boys fight. But what do you guys think of these two segments? Like, they were both separate segments in the night, but they both dealt with the same thing. So, like, how do you guys see this playing out? Do you guys see this playing out like in Crown Jewel, maybe later on in life? Like, where do you think we're going to be going with all of this?
Hey, Drop, go first. Why don't you spit some
Yeah.
knowledge?
I mean, I can definitely see this happening at Crown Jewel. It seems like that's where it's
Yeah.
building up to. I don't see this being like a match before Crown Jewel or after Crown Jewel. It's definitely going to be one of the matches that you're going to see on the program. And
Oh,
I
yeah.
just like how, like what we saw from Bronson Reed, how pretty much he was saying in a nutshell that he wanted to really prove himself to actually be like a top guy, like somebody that you can depend on if Seth Rollins isn't there or Punk isn't there or Drew isn't there. Like if you want to throw him into a title program where he's going up against somebody that actually has like a world championship, like he actually wants to feel reliable, and
Hmm.
he has proven himself to actually be a legitimate thing these past couple months when it came to how his presentation was on the show. So I like how he was just telling Adam Pearce like how he truly felt about everything around him. And definitely with him going up against Seth Rollins would definitely prove something like that, because if you're going up against somebody like Seth Rollins, just like how Javon Evans was going up against Randy Orton, that's some pretty big competition there. Because when it
Hmm.
comes to Bronson Reed going up against somebody like Seth Rollins, who's already established, who's one of the key players on Monday Night Raw, somebody that they can depend on any single time, if he gets a win over Seth Rollins, that really pushes him to a whole new level. Because yes, he went up against other people before Seth, but actually beating
Yeah.
Seth in a one-on-one match would do wonders for his character and even
Hmm.
his career, where you can get a lot more people behind him. I mean, he already has people behind him wanting him to hit a whole bunch of tsunamis and everything. So it's like with him beating Seth is only going to propel him even further. And I just really liked the whole segments that we had between Bronson Reed and Seth. I mean, Seth for the most part
Hmm.
was just him being Seth, him wanting this
Yeah.
match with Bronson Reed and wanting and him wanting to prove to everybody, who he is. But when it comes to Bronson Reed, that's just him. Really, see, this is when it comes down to something where it's like, who really needs to win in this scenario? Seth Rollins, does he need it? No,
No.
because he's already established. He can get into a main title program anytime he wants. Even after Gunther's done with Cody, hypothetically, if he wanted to go up against Seth wanted to go call out Gunther or whatever, he can do that because that's somebody you look at as a main event guy. But somebody like Bronson Reed, but somebody like Bronson Reed would need to win more, so people can be like, okay, I really fuck with this guy now, even though you should already, but still, just a big win over that would do wonders for him.
Exactly.
I would like to add, this is something that I love about Seth in the segment as well, because Drop said it perfectly that Seth was being Seth, because Adam Pearce brought up like, hey, this line of business, this line of work, we have injuries. Injuries is part of our job. And Seth was like, hey, I've done this, I've done that, but it's part of my job. No matter what, I get back up. And I love how Adam Pearce said it. Please quote me if I'm wrong. That Adam Pearce told Seth that, Seth, you have only had 6, I believe, or 8 matches this year. In each match, you've been injured. So I love how they're bringing real life events of Seth or of these characters to show that, hey, even though the story, but him being out for tsunamis, but others were real. Just bringing general to the character of Seth that, hey, he's been injured, he's been part, but he still gets back up. That's his character. Instead of like, hey, I come back. This is why I made the show Monday Night Rollins. I am the visionary, and I love how he just brings that. He still hypes himself up, even though he's technically weak right now, his body and everything, and his Seth probably the next 5 years he'd probably be retiring, who knows, by then. But I just love how Adam Pearce brought that back to the audience to know, like, hey, remember guys, Seth's been injured this year, he's been having surgeries, his break, so this is his time to rest. Next year Seth will be back on top, going for CM Punk at WrestleMania and everything. So I just love that for Seth and Adam Pearce having that moment. And by the way, for Bron Breakker, their video package was really well done too. It showed Bron Breakker could hold that, and even Adam Pearce breaking fourth wall, saying like, "Hey, I let you guys and the wrestlers go chaos, bring the chaos you want." I felt like Adam Pearce was speaking to Shadow the Hedgehog, like chaos energy, chaos emeralds, and all that. Like, everything kept saying chaos
control.
Exactly, because he said like fucking 5 times in one sentence. So it shows the different type of manager on screen that we have from Adam Pearce to Nick Aldis, because that is something that we always ask when we get these managers on screen. How can they make it different from feeling SmackDown to Raw show? Adam Pearce knows what the audience is saying. Like, damn, Adam Pearce, you always want to grab a drink because your show's fucking so chaotic. And now they're acknowledging that, like, hey guys, my show's chaotic because I let you guys run your own business, run your own shit. You want to fight? Hi, go in there, fucking fight. I'll take out a ref. We're going to have you fight. You guys want to have a fight in the street fight? Do your thing. So I love how Adam Pearce stated to Bron Breakker, like, yeah, I bring my 6 or 9 minutes to Seth, and he did his thing. So I also love the little nuggets of lines that are very important to shows why the story is chaotic because of that reason.
Okay, so the match itself is going to be chaotic as hell. Like, I see them having a series of matches too. Like, I don't think this is just going to be like a one and done thing. Like, I feel like, me personally, I feel like this could actually extend towards like the earliest Survivor Series, but it could go towards Saturday night's main event. But I guess that kind of depends on what they want to do with that show too. Yeah, but okay, well, we can just move on there because, hey, we don't have a match set yet. Adam Pearce is still kind of going through his mind, trying to figure out what he wants to do and all that stuff. Let's go ahead because, hey, we had a returning team tonight. during this tag team tournament that we have, because Adam Pearce is tired of his tag team champions not wanting to do their work. So fine, I'm going to do the work for you. I'm going to name your new contenders. It's going to happen in a tournament. We already heard what two of the other matches are going to be, but our first match with it was going to be the Alpha Academy taking on a mystery opponent. We had a commercial break. We come back from it, and who is it but the returning War Raiders? That's right. Ivar and Eric are back as the War Raiders, not the Viking Raiders, not the Viking experience, no Viking things whatsoever anywhere. They are back with their NXT gimmick. They are back with their song from NXT, and the presentation is there. The presentation is great. I loved it, and the ferocity that especially Eric had in this match, like
Oh, he was
those knees he
amazing.
was hitting Tozawa with were like stiff as hell. But yeah, this was a really good match. I thought, like, even though it was kind of a glorified squash match, this was really good in my eyes. But
As
what
somebody
what did
who
you guys think of
is
this?
unaware of the War Raiders from NXT, I know the Viking Raiders and I knew the potential, even from Eric going back to NXT, having his little feud with Obafemi, I believe. Um, Having that storyline, it showed the skill sets of the previous known Viking Raiders, and seeing War Raiders
Yeah,
appear made me very excited because I've heard the good stuff from the team and from the internet talking about the War Raiders, getting their name back, getting their song back. So to actually see that appear and not being spoiled from it online and to actually see it happen was really dope to see. Once they appear, I'm so sorry, African. I'm so sorry, Otis, and I'm so sorry, Maxine and Tazawa. But once they appear, I wanted them to win. Alpha Academy, I love you guys. You guys been
oh yeah,
getting good love for the mid card, but once the Alpha Academy storyline has moved on from American Made, you're still in the mid card. Hopefully, you continue getting pushed to some format. But War Raiders, I'm happy you appear. Great. I agree with what Walken said. Great squash match. You did your fucking thing. You destroyed. And by the way, your finisher was fucking amazing. It reminds me of the Creed Brothers finisher, but a bit slightly different. So I love that. Great finisher.
yeah. I forgot what. I don't think they called it the flatliner. They called it something else.
Yeah, I can't remember.
It yeah, it's the name's escaping me right now. But what about you, Drop? How do you feel about all this, especially with the War Raiders coming back? Now we can have the word war going on our show called Raw, which used to be called Raw is War. Like, how do you feel about this good old return back to an old gimmick?
I'm glad that they were actually able to go back to that old gimmick because
Hmm.
at least it's showing that they're able to, show their true colors, and now they're actually able to work as a tag team because Eric has been doing a great job on his own.
Hmm.
But I do like how they're taking an approach where they're repackaging them, bringing them back how they were before because they definitely had a lot of good matches in NXT.
Yeah.
So, and I especially remember the famous match where it was the War Raiders against Ricochet and Malachi Black. That was a great
Hmm.
tag match that I watched many years ago.
Was that the
The-
Dusty Classic final that year? Because I know Ricochet and Malachi at the time were in that tournament, so I don't remember if that was the finals or not.
I'll look. Um,
Yeah.
no, it was NXT Takeover 2019 Tag Team Championship match for the NXT titles. I
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah. So I believe they probably won, and then they went against them for the titles. But I just like how we're finally getting them back together to how they were portrayed before, when they were when they were super dominant. And I'm
Hmm.
hoping that they actually get pushed properly so they can actually have a good run on Raw. That's something I
Yeah.
would definitely love to see.
Yeah. Plus, like, hopefully the injury bug kind of stays away from them. Yeah, especially from Eric, as I know he had, because he was the one that had like the big injury, because he needed to have like surgery too, I think, right?
Yeah,
I
that's why he
think.
was by himself for a little bit.
Yeah. That's why Ivar had to do like a lot of stuff, and then like Ivar had to get some work done too, and all that.
But I'm glad they're
But
back and
yeah,
healthy and
I am too.
continue. And I would love to see them go against the Judgment Day and take those belts from them. It would be amazing to see. Hopefully, they get over by the audience
Hmm.
and everything in this new name. And the audience was already growing to love Eric in his little small singles run that he did for a couple months. So, overall, I'm excited for it.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yep. So hopefully they go far in this little mini tournament, and you know what? We won't have to go too much farther anymore because this was a 2-hour Raw. We didn't have much more to talk about. We're done. We're it. That's it. That's all of Raw.
Yeah.
Um, which was great. Now, with Raw overall, I'll go and start real quick. I thought the show was a lot better than last week. I thought pacing wise, it was a lot better. I know they had like some kind of padding going on with like a lot of the promo segments and a lot of the pre-taped video segments and all that, with like Dragon Lee, and they even had like a promo package for the women's tag title match too.
Hmm.
Just having those padded things going on, fine. I get that, especially with a pre-taped show, but like even still, I didn't feel like the pacing was really all that bad. I thought the matches we had were really good. And a lot of the storyline progressions I felt had enough time to breathe as much as they used to on a 3-hour show.
Yeah.
But Vash, I'm going to bring it off to you. What did you think of Raw overall?
This show was better than last week Monday Night Raw. You could hear me
Yeah.
and Drop talking about last week Monday Night Raw, where it was uh, crap. The Monday Night Raw was pre-tape. I mean, it
It
was
was.
horrible. This week was much better, being pre-tape, and it was better executed. Even with the video packages being pre-taped, even my wife was watching with me, it was help. I have to remember, as even as a fan or critic that we are, I also have to understand that the WWE product is not just for the fans that watch week to week. It's also fans that can't watch week to week. So fans that come tune
Hmm.
in and just see these video packages help refresh or understand what the current storyline is. Like a example, my wife, she watches the show with me and she can't watch week to week all the time because she has to study for school and has to go sleep early for work. So she at least sees the first half of Raw and at least helps her to refresh her memory or understand what the storylines currently are. So in that aspect, it helps where my wife could watch it and me, I could turn around and do notes, or I could prep the show, or I could do other stuff, edit. I could be productive in other sides for those couple of minutes that the commercial
Yeah.
and the video packages are going. So at the end of the day, this episode was really entertaining. I had a good time. Even the first hour
Hmm.
passing by, like, oh shit, this is really going on for a good 45 minutes, still going. It's been entertaining so far. The Dragon Lead stuff, I love. I just hope it gets executed well. That's all. The Beast was mentioned twice tonight by Seth freaking Rollins and Cody Rhodes that they both have slated beasts. Like, are you fucking dragon hunters or some shit? The fuck y'all doing out here? So
Yeah.
I really love that they actually mentioned the Beast, even though Brock Lesnar couldn't be named. But I love that other wrestlers have other type of variations of nicknames, so it's easier to kind of name somebody without name dropping them. And lastly,
Mhm.
Cody and Gunther, really happy for that. That's all I want to say. Really happy.
Okay. All right, perfect. Well, what about you, Drop? What do you feel about Raw overall this week?
Overall, I thought it was definitely a lot better than last week. I don't really want to go over my thoughts on what happened within the show because, I mean, timestamps are there if you want to
Yeah.
hear my
Mhm.
thoughts on everything that we're talking about. But definitely was a lot better than last week, and I'm just really hoping for next week we could get back into the fold again and see exactly like how they're going to structure things now, because I can understand why the shows felt a little off, because they were probably doing some, last second things because they had this whole UK tour that they were trying to do and all that. But let's hope things actually feel a lot better when it comes to our regularly scheduled programming when it comes to Monday Night Raw, because it was the first Monday Night Raw that we saw coming into picture when it came to this whole UK tour that was happening around this time. So I'm just hoping we get a little bit more story, a little bit more depth with a lot of things to sink my teeth into. But yeah, that's my overall thoughts, really.
All right, perfect. Well, eventually we'll be able to take a big old bite out of all these stories and really just get all those juices flowing inside of our mind holes and all that.
I really want to give a shout out to Watkins. He said something earlier. I believe it was in our group chat. He said that next week will be the test of Raw, how it will be for the rest of the year. Because last week was bad script writing, last minute stuff, or also prepping for next week pre-tape show that happened today. So they had a first week episode of a 2-hour show that failed, but then a 2-hour show that was pre-taped. Some people like it, some people hate it, some people enjoyed it, like we did. People's opinions, tell us down in the comment section down below. But then next week we're back to a live show and to continue the current storyline. So it would test the waters at the finish line. Like anybody that watches anime, you have your 3-episode rule, or if you watch TV shows, your 3-episode rule counts there too. So I'm really excited to see what the next week results will be.
Exactly, me too. And if you want to stay tuned and see what we have to say, why not check us out? But hold on, wait.
Where are we going to check us out?
Where? Who? What? I don't know. I don't know where.
Who's
Vash,
Gomorrah?
can you help me out?
Well, Watkins, I'll tell you
Gomorrah?
I'll tell you who's Gomorrah is. We are Weebs of the Ring under the umbrella of Anima We Studio. We appreciate you for checking on us out on the spin-off channel, and here is for all the wrestling content where wrestling and anime collide, where you can find us on all the handles of Weebs of the Ring. We have a handle now on social media: Twitter, IG, Snapchat, MySpace, AIM, AOL, where you can find us everywhere at Weebs of the Ring handle, hashtag Weebs of the Ring as well, at Legendary Vash, Walkers MW, at Drop This Box, and at the main channel, the main hub, Anima Weebs Studio with a 3. So definitely check us out. We have a new channel, we have a Vault channel. There will be videos this coming weekend for the updates and what they are, but definitely stay tuned for the main channel if you want anime and manga, podcasts, and everything else. Without further ado, if you heard that, then like the stream already. If you've been on this 1 hour and 50 plus minutes show, then definitely like the stream. If you haven't, if you're new to the channel, fucking subscribe. I appreciate it. And that's the bottom line, because I said so. Back to the host.
Because he said so. All right. Well, you know what? We're going to take some time to thank you for taking time out of your day to listen to the Weebs of the Ring podcast. If you enjoyed what we had to say, why not do exactly what Vash just said? Just know that we are known as Anima We Studio on all social media platforms. Just remember that's we with a 3. And we are also known as Weebs of the Ring on all those social media platforms as well. No special thing there. It's just all Weebs of the Ring. Make sure to also use the hashtag Weebs of the Ring so you can interact with us before, during, or after any of these wrestling shows, because feedback is always appreciated, as we are nothing without you guys tuning into the show. Weebs of the Ring is presented by Anima We Studio. Thanks again to our production team of Vash, Walk-Ins, Drop This Box, Rome, and Jokester, as well as special thanks to all of our helpers, such as JB and Abe, who help out in the back with all the stuff that they are able to do for us. So thank you once again, and as always, no stunt grannies were harmed in the recording of this podcast. Have a good night, everybody.
Have a good one, guys.
Yeet.